Welcome to Let's Reason Together with Dr. Jen. Let us reason together with Dr. Jen's podcast, where I attempt to encourage you and myself on life's journey. With each YouTube video, I will try my best with the help of God to motivate you and, by God's grace, give you a better understanding of life. I have started a series on how to fight and win life's battles, and it's from episode 9 to episode 14. The topics are: don't let anybody steal your joy, choose your battles wisely, hold your peace and let God fight your battles, are you fighting when you should be sitting, don't run from your enemies, and are you battle ready? And what to do to be ready to fight your battles. So to watch all my videos, you need to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Jennifer Agard, or simply Jennifer Agard. That's Agard, Jennifer Agard. Click on this subscribe button and you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Let's go directly to the topic, and this is episode 13. It says, don't run from the giants. Don't run from your enemies. Don't run from your enemies. We'll go directly to the scriptures, and it comes from the Old Testament, 1 Samuel chapter 17, from verses 1 to 54. A summary of the story, because as I always say, on your spare time, you should read the scriptures. Read 1 Samuel, is in the Old Testament, from chapter 17, and it's from verses 1 to 54. I will summarize the story for you. It says, the Israelite king Saul and the Philistines were at war. They set out to battle at Camp Oak Valley. The Philistines had a great army, including Goliath, who was a giant. He was almost 10 feet tall, dressed for war in an armor weighed 126 pounds, bronze chin guards, and holding a bronze sword weighed over 15 pounds. He was confident in his ability to fight anyone who dared to come against him. He was overconfident. Daily he shouted, "You don't have to use your entire army to fight me. Just send one of your best men to fight me. If he kills me, the Philistines will become your slaves. But if I kill him, the Israelites will become our slaves." So the Israelites were afraid of him. But then David, a little shepherd boy, came by to bring his older brothers who were in the army food. He heard Goliath shouting his fighting words, and instead of being afraid, he challenged him. He said, "I will fight you." Oh, his older brothers thought he was crazy to think that he could fight that Goliath and try to discourage him. They said, "Go back to the field and take care of your animals. Take care of the sheep. You can't fight the Goliath." But David was confident. He thought he was experienced enough to fight against the giant, since he fought bears and lions away from his father's sheep. When Saul heard that David was going to fight Goliath, he dressed him with his army outfit, which was bronze helmet on his head, a sword, heavy sword. It was so big and heavy that David could not walk an inch. So David removed that outfit. And David decided that he would go with whatever he had. He headed off to fight Goliath. He put on his own outfit, 5 smooth stones, his pouch, and a slingshot. Wow. He walked up to the giant and said, "You come to fight me with a spear, a sword, and a javelin, but I come to fight you with the Lord God Almighty on my side. I know God will help me defeat you." But his words did not frighten Goliath. Goliath was so confident, and in fact, Goliath was disgusted that they would think that they would send a little boy to fight against him. His pride was hurt or bruised. As the giant moved forward to attack David, David took out a stone from his pouch, placed it into the slingshot, and shot the giant in his forehead, killing him instantly. Then all the Philistines ran away, and the Israelites looted what was left behind in the enemy's camp. After that, David took the Goliath's sword and cut off his head and returned it to the king Saul as a proof. In conclusion, David beat the Philistines with a slingshot and a stone. He hit him and killed him. No sword needed for this fight. He also used his enemy's sword, Goliath's sword, and cut off his head. Here are my thoughts on this story. Sometimes we have to face our enemies face on. We have to stand up and fight our enemy. The battlefield may be hostile, dangerous, and seem impossible to manage, but we cannot back down. Some fights we cannot back down. Backing down may cost us our lives. What is your battle today? Is it your husband, wife, sickness, your son or daughter on drugs? What is your battle today? Who or what is your enemy or your giant today? Are you in a situation that seems to be burying you alive? Are you in a situation and you do not know what to do, if you should walk away or if you should not walk away? And all left for you to do right now is to just face the giant, face your situation. I am here to tell you to have courage. Stand strong against your enemy. Stand strong against your giant. Stand strong against your illness. Yes, you might be feeling weak, but ask God for the strength to stand firm and win the battle. Receive your healing. Please know that you are not fighting your giant alone. God is on your side. He is standing next to you. He is holding you up and leading the way. Just trust Him to the end of your battle. Let us examine this story in detail and see how it applies to our lives. What was interesting is that the battle was in the valley and not on the mountain. It is when you and I are in our lowest point in our lives that the enemy comes to attack us. When you are unemployed, then is when the landlord comes over to kick you out. He or she has no mercy on your situation. or when you are sick, then is when your spouse turns to you and say, I want a divorce. It is always when you are in the valley and never on the mountaintop that you are tested. The enemy wants to fight you when you are alone and in the valley of distress and a place of weakness. David was not physically equipped to fight the giant, but emotionally and spiritually, he was well prepared. Sometimes you don't always feel ready on the outside physically to fight your battle, but on the inside, emotionally, you can. You just need to get your mind ready, and your spirit will soon follow. Your enemy may seem big, like the giant, like a giant before you. For example, you receive a bad report from the doctor. Bad news, big giant. Your giant is facing you close up and staring you right into the face and in your eyes. But I'm here to encourage you not to give up. Just like David, when David's older brothers told him that he is too young, you are inexperienced, a frail little boy trying to fight this big giant. You can't do it. But David, he was all dressed in his own battlefield outfit. He was ready for the battle. Little did they know that David had his faith and trust in God. David was well dressed on the inside, emotionally and spiritually ready to fight the giant. His God told him that he can win the fight, not to run away, but to step forward and face his enemy head on. David was confident. He thought he was experienced enough to fight the giant since he fought bears and lions away from his father's sheep. I am here to tell you that your experiences in life made you battle ready, and you have God on your side. Therefore, you can win the battle. You can defeat your giant. Saul tried to dress David in his own outfit, but it did not fit him. It was too big and heavy for him. So David removed them and used what God had blessed him with. His confidence, his self-confidence, his mustard seed faith, 5 stones, a pouch, and a slingshot. The pouch is a place to hold was a place to hold his plan A, his plan B, C, D, and E. He had 5 stones. He had them secure in his pouch, ready in case the first stone did not kill his giant. He had 4 other stones. It is a secret place in his pouch. Even so, we should have plan A, B, C, D, and E secure in our hearts, guarded by God. No, David did not only walk with plan A, he had all up to E, B, C, and D, waiting to use them if it is necessary. Sometimes we go to fight our enemies with only a plan A, with no other plans in line, and we fail. Now, some of you might be too spiritual or over spiritual, and please don't be over spiritual with me. What I'm saying is that, yes, I know God is there to help us fight our battles. And some of you might be saying, well, I have God, so He's my plan A. He's my only plan. Yes, God is our plan A. But we do not know God's plans. Remember, we are not God. We don't know what will be the outcome of our battles. Only God knows. So we can trust God for a successful outcome, for only He knows our future. The slingshot The slingshot is our weapon, ready with our prepared bullets to defend and defeat our enemy. David placed the stones one at a time. He started with stone one. And he put that stone and he used that stone to kill his giant, Goliath. We need to learn to hide our bullets, our weapons from our enemy. Surprise the enemy. Sometimes we talk so much, we talk too much. We think that we need to let our friends know everything about our lives, and many times it backfires on us. Keep some things to yourself. Do like David. He kept stone from stone 2, 3, 4, and 5 in his pouch, closed his heart. So sometimes we need to keep things close to ourselves. Now, please note, I'm not telling you to hide things from your spouse. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you that we don't have to talk every time what our plans are going to be to fight our enemy. The 5 small stones study shows that when a stone is left by the river or a beach, the weather and the surrounding elements slowly eat away the stone and causing it to become smooth. Even so with us, life experiences beat us up until we are smooth, until we are prone, and we have an idea how to fight this particular battle. It toughens us, making us ready for any battles that come against us. So let us look again at the spiritual representation of the 5 stones. Stone 1. As I said before, David used the first stone, and I would say it's faith. As he put the stone into that slingshot, he said, God, just as you helped me to kill the bears and the lions in the field, I know that you will help me to kill this giant. In case he had to use a second stone, it would have been trust. God, I put my trust in you, and I know that you will allow me to kill my enemy. If he had to use a third stone, it would have been courage. Lord, I put my courage in you. God, you and you alone, I know, will give me the courage to defeat my enemy. The fourth stone was obedience. And if he had to use that stone, he would say, God, I have done whatever you have told me to do. Therefore, God, I know that you will allow me to defeat my enemy. And if he had to use a fifth stone, it would be praise you, God. Praises to God. God, I will praise you now and always, for I know that you will help me to defeat my enemy once and for all. So my words of encouragement today are, you should not only kill your enemy, but remember to cut his head off and take the loot. Let me explain that. You see, many times when we have to fight our enemy, we sometimes think we have defeated that enemy for good and we walk away. But with David, He cut his head off to make sure, and he took that head back up to Saul the king to show him proof that he did kill and defeat the enemy. If you walk away from a destructive relationship, and this is an example, sometimes you walk away from a destructive relationship, please don't go back. Don't reconnect. Cut it off completely. Leave it alone. For if we return to bad relationships, it may eventually kill us. Then, as David said, and as David did, and as the Israelites did, they took the loot, the things that were left back in the enemy's camp. I'm saying today that sometimes we need to remember the battles that we have gone through. Remember the fights that we have won, and keep them in our thoughts as a memorial unto us, that we will never go back to that fight, or we will remember how we fought that fight and how to fight it if it ever show up again. Never forget what you have gone through, and promise never to repeat that fight. Repeat that situation. Learn your lesson and move on by the grace of God. So in closing, please remember not only to say you love someone, show them love. For love is an action word. And God loves you, and I love you too. Have a blessed day. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button and come back for the other episode.